What's up guys, this is Miasin. So in this video I will be covering all the cards that I think you should be trying to get your hands on right now if you plan on building Blue Eyes, because the structure deck is coming out in I think a little more than a week, and even though it already comes out with a lot of really interesting cards and really powerful cards, in case you didn't have access to them before, this deck is basically Monarch 2.0 in the sense where you can buy 3 structure decks as well as like a pack of sleeves, and you can already compete at like an entry level competitive level, so that's really cool. It's not every day that Konami gives a lot of value in a structure deck, and I really commend them for that. So, that's really cool, really nice for the budget players. And another great news for the budget players is that you don't necessarily need to play the Primate cards in your deck in order to make it work. There's a lot of really cool alternatives, and we'll be covering this in this video right here, as well as, of course, every other expensive card that you can potentially buy either right now or in the future in order to make your Blue Eyes deck that much better. But before we dive right into it, friendly reminder, of course, to smash the like and subscribe button, and also huge shoutouts to my CRYSTRON spreadsheet. It is still being sold, so if you are interested in it, all the details of the spreadsheet as well as all the steps to buy it are at the very top of the description box below. So again, CRYSTRON is a fantastic deck that I really recommend. It is the deck that I am playing this format, and like I said, I wouldn't bother spending 300 hours on the deck if I had no faith in it. And also, Blue Eyes is my next, target for the spreadsheet, so also keep an eye out on that. And if this video can get to 1,000 likes, I will be making even more Blue Eyes content, so you already know what to do. Okay, so what are the cards that are coming out in the structure deck? Well, again, Konami really put in a lot of effort into making the structure deck, packed with value. So we got Sage with Eyes of Blue, we got Maiden, we got Prayers with Eyes of Blue. So we already have, the 3 main 1-card starters for the Blue Eyes strategy. But on top of that, there's another 1-card combo that nobody really talks about because they kind of want to pretend like this card sucks, even though I actually hard disagree. I think Neo Kaiser Seahorse is very good. It is either an extender or actually a 1-card starter on its own, but it's only the kind of card that you really want to play in the budget version. So in the pure Blue Eyes deck, this is not the kind of card that you will see in the Primate version of Blue Eyes. Therefore, in the OCG, nobody really plays that because, OCG is already cheaper than the TCG, so, the Primate engine is not worth that much over there. But in the OCG, you basically have to, pay, an arm in order to get that. It's completely absurd. I think I've seen, a picture from, I don't know where on, Facebook, but, they were comparing all the engines and, the cores on release and stuff like that, or rather, after the hype. And I think the Primate engine might very well be the most expensive engine up to date. It's more expensive than the Malice core, more expensive than the Raziel core, and it might actually be more expensive than the Fiendsmith engine, but I'm not 100% sure, because Lordly Load is worth such an absurd amount of money now. If you were able to get your hands on this card when it was cheap, oh my god, you are in everything, my man. And also, even Either Barrel, this card is an ultra rare at the current moment, so it's not super expensive. But obviously, it's just a matter of time before it's going to start picking up a little bit of steam. Yeah, these 3 cards, everybody is going to play them, so obviously it's a nice thing that you can also get your hands on QCR, Maiden of White, and I think Wishes, actually I'm not sure, I don't think this one. But yeah, Maiden of White you can get as a QCR in the structure deck, so it's a weird structure deck where it also comes with random bonus cards that can either be Secret or QCR or something like that. But yeah, you should, I think, be getting 1 QCR per structure deck. So it's not always, it doesn't always come with the same rarity, so it's almost like cracking a booster pack. You never know what QCR you'll be getting, so that's also something that you should be keeping an eye out on. But yeah, obviously these 3 cards are in the structure deck, and you obviously need them. The Field Spell is in the structure deck, the Saga or the Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragon or something. Yeah, this card is usually just a one-of, so you should be able to get your hands on this card very quickly if you don't want to buy the structure deck. At True Light, you only really need 1 of this, and it is indeed in the structure deck. Obviously, the first 2 rows are in the structure deck. Majesty with Dragons of White, a really good card. You also need to get 1 copy of this card if you're playing either Pure Blue Eyes or Primate Blue Eyes. And then, like I said, Neo Kaiser Seahorse only really good in either Pure or Magia Blue Eyes. Otherwise, you really don't need this card. And then these 2 cards, they are only good in the Magia version of Blue Eyes. So Ultimate Fusion as well as Master with Eyes of Blue. If you're playing the Primate version of Blue Eyes, these cards are not necessary at all. In the OCG, I have seen some people play Ultimate Fusion, so what this card really does is that it allows you to shuffle back your resources from the graveyard into the deck and extra deck, so you never really run out of gas, and you can also get an interruption off of that, because if you fuse using a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your field into the deck, then you also get to destroy a card on the field, and it doesn't target, so that's also not too bad, but it's realistically worse than Majesty with Dragons of White at what it does, so I really don't think that you need this card for anything, unless you're trying to summon Magia, in which case obviously this card is needed. But like I said, in the Primate build, it's just another brick. It's a card that doesn't productively do anything on its own, and if you're playing Majesty with Dragons of White anyways, then you don't really need it. So yeah, that's just, you're either playing this or you're playing this, but if you're playing both, then get ready to draw some bricks. I can tell you that. Anyways, Master with Eyes of Blue, like I said, this card, it's only really gonna see play in the Magia version. It's not great. It doesn't do anything on its own, unfortunately. It's objectively worse than Sage with Eyes of Blue, but obviously in the combo version, this card is... It's not great, but it's needed. It's a combo piece. Naturally, Blue Eyes White Dragon is in the structure deck. Makes sense, huh? Blue Eyes Chaos Max as well. If you want to ritual summon that using the graveyard effect of Majesty with Dragons of White, this is something that you can do. And there is also another interesting... hold on a second. Black Chaos Max, I think. Another ritual monster that you can summon off of the graveyard effect of the Majesty with Dragons of White, and it is Magician of Black Chaos Max. It is a ritual monster, level 8, so you can summon it using Blue Eyes White Dragon. And essentially how you turbo out this card is by sending Herald of Arclight from your extra deck to the graveyard with Mirrorlogic Aggregator, which is a rank 9 monster that you can make using Double Spirit. And then, yeah, you send a Herald of Arclight. Yes, because I know, Mirrorlogic Aggregator actually has an on-field effect. Yes, usually people only use this graveyard effect off of like Ultimate Slayer and X-Razor, but on summon, it also gets to send a monster from the extra deck to the graveyard, so that you send Herald of Arclight, you get to search this, and then when you summon this card, either like obviously special or ritual summon, you tribute a monster, and then your opponent cannot activate monster effects this turn, so it's basically Outer Entity as a thought. There is a combo where you can Magician of Black Chaos Max your opponent, so even if your opponent has like all the board breakers in the world, it is not going to be doing anything against you. It's like Forbidden Droplet or Bust. That's pretty much it. So I think this card is really nice if you want to play it. It is one of the interesting ritual monsters for sure in the deck, but obviously a Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon is a Blue Eyes monster, so you can send it from the deck to the graveyard using Neo Kaiser Seahorse, but also you can send it with like Dragon's Ravine if you plan on playing that, or you can just play it in your deck and play Chaos Max Turbo, which is also really cute. But another alternative, if you want to play the Magia version, is that you can play Gateway to Chaos as well as Blackluster Soldier Legendary Swordsman. And this card is better than the other Blackluster Soldier monster because when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you shuffle every card your opponent controls into the deck. So that's actually a really nasty board breaker, and obviously with 3000 attack, it's not going to be too difficult to do. Anyways, I don't really think this concerns too many players because most people are not playing the Magia version for a slightly obvious reason. It is insanely expensive. If you think the Primate version is expensive, this is infinitely worse. And honestly, I will be honest, the Primate version is more competitive than the Magia version, but the Magia version is infinitely more explosive. So yeah, if you care about power, you play this, and if you care about like consistency and resilience and longevity, I think the Primate version is better. Anyways, Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is in the structure deck, and it's a decent card, but it's not like insane. Alternative, I don't really recommend, but if you want to play like Melody of Awakening Dragon with Chaos Dragon Levineer and Chaos Emperor Dragon of Armageddon, that is definitely an option, but not necessarily a great option, like I said. Dictator of D, this card is fine. It's not great. You shouldn't play it. And then, yeah, obviously, the structure deck comes with 5 fantastic staples that you kind of probably want to max out on this deck. So, 3 Nibiru, obviously off of 3 structure deck, as well as Ash, Veiler, Imperm, and Call by the Grave. You get all these cards from the structure deck, and that is absurd. For, I believe, $12 or $13 US, one of each of these cards already gets your money back. It's insane. I mean, obviously, most of the value comes from Ash and Imperm, if I recall correctly. Those are usually, I mean, I think Ash is always like a respectable amount of money because every freaking Yu-Gi-Oh player on Earth needs Ash. And for the other ones, I mean, it may be more niche, but this is the best deck in the game to abuse Effect Veiler. The best for sure. Because you can also play like the Fiendsmith engine in your deck, you know, normal summon Veiler, and then, you know, normal, like, go into the Link one, and then, you know, search your Mausoleum, and then extra normal summon for Veiler, and then you make Lightning Spider using Blue Eyes, and then you make Moon of the Close Sky, etc. I have made a bunch of videos on some niche combos that you can do in the deck, so obviously the Veiler into the Fiendsmith combo, as well as the the Magician of Black Chaos Max combo. But yeah, like I said, these 2 rows, they are all the cards that you already get from the structure deck. And now for the cards that you may want to buy because they might be really good for you. You obviously have Bingo Machine Go. This card is only really playable in the Pure build and obviously the Magia build, but in the Primate version, I don't really think you need it. All this card really does is search a spell or trap card that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is really bad. Obviously, it means that the only good card to search is Prayers with Eyes of Blue. Obviously, it could have been better, right? But whatever. At least it is still a one-card combo, but it adds a lot of redundancy to your deck. So obviously, if you draw like this and this is just going to be the discard fodder. Where If Thou is a potential starter / extender, depending on how you see it. If you play other kinds of level 1 monsters in your deck, this card could be even more interesting. And you can search some cool cards like DD Crow or random level 1 monsters. So don't limit yourself to just Blue Eyes cards with this card. It's the kind of card that really rewards you for being creative. The Erase map is more proactive because you don't need to already control a level 1 monster, but the stipulations on this card are so rough that I'm not a big fan of it. Like, you gotta use it very specifically at the start of your main phase 1, you gotta normal summon the monster that you search, you have your life points. It's just not the best, honestly. I don't really think this card is great in the deck. I think Where If Thou is better. And I also think Bingo Machine is better than P-Erase map if you just want more starters in your deck, because another really good approach to deck building Blue Eyes is by playing more than 40 so that you can drown your bricks. You see your Blue Eyes less often and your Mausoleum of White less often and your True Light less often, but you see your juice cards more often because you just play more overall. And speaking of juice cards, you can play other consistency cards such as Pot of Prosperity, 1-for-1, which are very good in the deck for obvious reasons. 1-for-1 is a little weird because Sage only gets its effect on normal summon, not on normal or special. It is kind of an old card, but you can still special summon your Maiden of White, and that is still full combo on its own pretty much. So no worries there. And then you can also play a bigger Primate Engine if you feel like either Barrel, Lordly Load, and Drill Beam aren't enough. You can play Primate Roar as well as Flame Vulgar. There's another card in the OCG that has like a weird Japanese name. It's a level 1 Light Dragon, so I think it's a little better because you can also go for maybe like Chaos Angel and stuff like that. But yeah, Flame Vulgar is what we have in the TCG, and there's some other really cool things that you can do with the Primate Engine that I will be showcasing most likely in my spreadsheet, so stay tuned for that beautiful product when I will be releasing it. And yeah, finally we have the hand traps that you probably really want to play in the deck. So the Bestial Monsters, obviously this is a Dragon deck, so it makes sense that you, at the very least, are trying to play one Magnemite. Even if you want to play 0 other Bestials, that is completely fine, because your Magnemite can go and face search the Either Barrel, and then you got like a crazy follow-up on your own turn. So you can draw like Magnemite and 4 hand traps going second, and you are in business. That is actually a good thing. So yeah, this card is remarkable. And then Jew's Worm, that is like one of your best friends at beating Razor Detonator. So if you can play 3 copies of this card, it is not only a hand trap but also a board breaker. It's just overall fantastic. Baldrake, very good to summon off of Hieratic Seal, gets 2 extra interruptions, and this card is also very cheap, whereas Jew's Worm, I'm not gonna lie, it is actually very expensive, and Magnemite is not expensive because it is at 1, obviously, otherwise it would have been like ultra expensive. Alternatively, you could also look into the other Bestials, such as, you know, Saronir and Lubellion, Regained, etc. That is also an option, and it's not like that spicy. Everybody has been playing those cards in Blue Eyes, but you don't always have to like go, you know, super outside the, you know, think outside the box, you know. Sometimes like just doing whatever other people are doing can work out. Obviously, there's a reason why the most popular engines are, you know, super popular. It's because they keep proving themselves as to be the best ones. But yeah, Drill and Logbird, another card that you can play, and then the Molchamis, so Perelia, Fueros, and Meows. One really cool thing about this deck is that it does have discard outlets, so if you draw these cards going first, it is completely fine. It can just be your discard for Prayers with Eyes of Blue. So there is pretty much like no drawback to drawing these cards like ever. If you go second and you draw one of these cards, you're in a really good position. And if you go first and you draw one of these cards, you are in a very good position. So, I mean, yeah, it's like there's really just no like drawback really. And then obviously Dominus Purge, this deck doesn't really conflict with it because everything is like light attribute. Again, as a reminder, this card locks you out of dark, water, and fire monsters. So the only drawback really is that you won't be able to use Ash and your Bestials, but that's about it. So if you're playing like a huge Bestial package, you don't need this. As a matter of fact, if you are on a budget and you don't have the ability to afford Dominus Purge, it is completely fine. You can just supplement, you can just replace it with other Bestials, and then you can play some other hand traps. And obviously, if you don't have the money for Jew's Worm, worst case, you can do like Magnemite, Saronir, and Baldrake, and that is still very respectable in my opinion. Finally, the anti-malice cards that you absolutely need and that are also very cheap, Artifact Lancia as well as Chaos Hunter. Funny enough, you can actually say that Lancia and Chaos Hunter are actually better than Molchiminialis just because Chaos Hunter can actually make you play under Shifter, whereas this, not really. And this card is like dirt cheap and it is a turn skip, so yeah, both of them are fantastic. And they're worth literally nothing, whereas this is actually worth a lot of money, unfortunately. So again, if you are on a budget, there are still a lot of cool things that you can do. So for example, you can play like pure Blue Eyes and then play Neo Kaiser Seors and Bingo Machine as additional starters. so that you're gonna have 5 different 3-card combos. So you got these 3 as well as this and this, and then you just play a lot of hand shops. Again, the structure deck comes out with 4 different hand shops, and then you can add the bestials, you can add droll, and then we're looking at literally nothing. So again, even if you have no money to afford the most competitive version of this deck, do not worry, you can still play a great deck. And also, the structure deck also comes out with pretty much every extra deck card that you need for the most part. You don't really need anything else after that, because you got the Spirit with Eyes of Blue, the Link one, you got the Neo Blue as the Ultimate Dragon, the Tyrant Dragon, the Spirit Ultimate, the Heretic Seal even. So these cards, you're always going to play them. And then these ones, they're less important. So Blue Eyes Ultimate, Azure Eyes Silver Dragon, and Indigo Eyes Silver Dragon. Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is a must in the Magia version, and then Azure Eyes Silver Dragon is a must in almost nothing. I don't really think this card is super needed. And Indigo Eyes Silver Dragon is not really good. It's only really good if you're playing like a bunch of level 8 extenders in your deck, which is not really the case in Blue Eyes. Ironically enough, this deck is not really an Xyz deck. It's more like a Synchro deck. So it's kind of hard to have 2 level 8 dragon monsters on your field unless your opponent allows like everything that you do to resolve. So it's not really a good board breaker, really. Other extra deck cards that you can buy would be Ancient Fairy Dragon, as well as Secret Village of the Spellcasters. I don't know why this is here, should be there, right? This package is really good, not only in time, but also you can search Secret Village of the Spellcasters, so regardless of the amount of board breakers that your opponent has, it is not going to be enough. You're still going to win because your opponent can't use any of them. It is really disgusting. Crimson Dragon is unfortunately worth a decent amount of money. I think it's like 10 or 15 bucks or something. But yeah, you kind of really want to get one copy of this card, because even though like you don't need multiples, with the one Crimson Dragon, with the one dragon monster that you can summon off of it, is going to do wonders to your deck. And obviously Cosmic Blazar is one of the really good ones. There's also some other monsters that you can summon, such as Stardust Zephyr Divine Dragon. This one, the first time like each of your card would die, it is not destroyed, and also it is an Omni-Negate, so that's really cool. And when it negates something, you can destroy any card on the field, and it doesn't have to be the card that you negate. So overall, it's just a really good card, but it's just one of many targets that you can summon off of Crimson Dragon when you target the Blue Eye Spirit Ultimate Dragon, so you can summon a level 12 monster. And the final one that I think is extremely good is a Crystal Clear Wing over Synchro Dragon. This is a new card from Supreme Darkness, and it is an Omni-Negate, and also when it leaves the field by your opponent's card, so even if it gets Kaiju'd, you can summon a Clearing monster from your extra deck, so you can summon Crystal Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, which is a Spell and Trap card negate, and it can make itself like unaffected by your opponent's activated monster effect whenever your opponent activates a monster effect, so it can be really annoying to deal with for certain decks. Finally, some other cards that you can play would be like Lina the Light Charmer, which I think is going to be a staple in the extra deck, especially if you like hand trap your opponent multiple times, and then let's say you nib your opponent, you give a nib token, and then you just bricked and you have nothing. You can still like normal summon anything and then make Lina and then like target something, revive back, and then crash the Lina, and then Lina effect, you can search your Maiden of White, and then you can play in main phase 2. So it really allows you to just bridge into your engine, regardless of how garbage your hand really was. Typhon, obviously that's another very good card that you can use to break boards going second. Skill Drain is insane in this deck. It's probably the best Skill Drain deck in the entire game, just because your Spirit with Eyes of Blue allows pretty much any of your monsters to like turn into like a 3k plus attack beat stick every single turn, which means that the more copies of this card you have, the better your deck is in grind games. And the other decks, they can't really deal with like Skill Drain very easily. So yeah, if you can resolve this card, you kind of just win the game, but obviously it's an unsearchable one-of, unfortunately. And then finally, Ultimate Slayer as well as Mirror Logic Aggregator. I don't really think the extra deck space should be too tight unless you're playing like a weird version of Blue Eyes. So I think that this package is a must if you are trying to build brick boards going second. That's it for this video right here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you can think of any other card that you believe that people should be buying right now in order to, you know, be ahead of the curve with the whenever the Blue Eye structure deck is going to come out, please let us all know in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys very, very soon with another video. Peace.